Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krensman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. I'm very good. Coming to you, as always, from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in a frigid Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, brought to you, of course, by our good friends at Sonnet Financial Technologies. Episode number 55 on the Spanish dial for those using the SAP button today, 55.
See?
And you can email us your questions anytime, as always, at mypbshow@gmail.com. Which comes across the screen so beautifully on cue when I say that. And we are getting to viewer questions today. Actually,
Ooh.
We have a bunch of them. I got them into the show, I promised. So you can listen to us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, any of the four. You will find us and get your MYPB fix.
Absolutely.
Right?
Can't hide.
Can't hide. If you want to find us, you've got plenty of opportunity to do so. Speaking of finding us, some of you found us this past Saturday at an event that we were at, and that was Small Business Saturday here at the Wyckoff Shopping Center.
Yep.
You were there.
Yes.
I was there. And really should give a shout out to some of the merchants there who really did a great job. TS Ma, which is my new favorite Chinese spot. If you live in Bergen County, you should be going to check out TS Ma and tell Chris I sent you. Chris is my new buddy.
Yeah.
Chris and I are buds. Yes. So they were there. Pizza Love was there. Three Chicas Mexican Kitchen was there giving out these little mini burritos, which I will say, and I said to B-Rock at the event, I didn't even want to eat it, but I ate it and it was really good. It's like I didn't need it, but I had it and it was awesome. The Wyckoff Sweet Shop amongst the other vendors there, so a really good job. And your favorite person was there on Saturday with us, and that was Santa.
Santa, yeah.
Santa was there, which was cool.
Yeah.
And there was probably nothing happier than seeing children around Santa.
Absolutely.
And so the event, even though it was cold for us on Saturday, but not as cold as the studio here this morning, which is a different story. Even though it was cold there, it was just really good feelings and a lot of holiday happiness. And we give a shout out to all of the vendors there down the street from us.
Yeah, it was great to have all the businesses in the Wyckoff Shopping Center come together and throw an event with. We had Santa Claus. They were all giving giveaways. We still have some of the prizes we need to raffle off, so stay tuned. If you're wondering where the winners are, they're coming shortly.
And some of the prizes, because I did stop at the table outside where they had the raffle baskets. Yeah. Some of them were actually like really good prizes. I mean,
there's like a $200 gift certificate to the salon. There's like $50 gift cards to $100 gift cards to Pizza Love. Like, there's some good prizes. Yes,
and Pizza Love, I should say, they came like the second half of the event, and they brought, what was it, the Drunk Grandma pizza?
Yes,
which was awesome.
Do you know what Drunk Grandma is?
I now know what it is. Yes, the vodka sauce.
Yes, on the margarita with the vodka sauce. Drunk Grandma.
That was very good. And I said, T.S. Ma. Now I had no dinner plans on Saturday night, and at the event, I was talking to Chris, and I said, you know what, I'm going to try your food because you've got me, kind of intrigued, and I did a takeout order of $84 worth of Chinese food for
I saw you had a huge bag
for Jess, me, and the kids on Saturday night. Now we still have some in the fridge 3 days later, but it was very good. I think this is my new go-to Chinese spot.
And $84 for what the bag I saw, like that's a great deal. Like I go out to dinner with Adrian, like we get a little plate each, and it's $100. Like you know what I mean? Like you still got leftovers. That's a good deal.
Yes, we do. It will be finished today, but yes, TS Ma, good spot. So great, and we thank you guys for coming out Saturday and supporting them, and we got to meet some of our listeners as well, and that was always fun. So on to hockey. Now, what we're going to do a little bit different today.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but the Rangers were supposed to play this past Sunday, the Islanders, and the game got canceled because the Islanders continue to be ravaged by COVID. So in the last week since you and I have been on. The Rangers have only played 2 games, and they continue to be hot. So we're going to go over that real quick, and then we're going to jump around the league, and we're going to do a lot of other NHL stuff today aside from the Rangers, because I know some people asked to do that based on some questions. So let's just take the Rangers first. They won Wednesday night against the Islanders. They played very well. The Islanders are kind of a minor league team right now because they've got so many starters injured that they're calling up guys you never heard of, and they're not very good. So they should have won that game, and they did. Then you get into this Thanksgiving Classic game that they did on Friday afternoon in Boston, and there's so much that you love about this game. In the first period, the Rangers were brutally outshot. I think it was something like 16-3. They didn't even deserve to be in the game, but they woke up in the second period, kept it close, and then pulled away in the third on a goal by Panarin.
Mhm.
So and Lafreniere actually. So they continue to do what you want them to do. They're 14-3. Look, I don't have a lot of negative things to say at all about them. I'm the first one to point out negative things. And the season is long. It is a marathon, not a sprint. So there will be plenty of things to complain and get worried about. But right now is not the time. They're 14-3. They have 3 home games coming up. They have the Flyers in town tomorrow night. And then over the weekend, they actually will this does not happen often. They have back-to-back games at home. It does not happen a lot, where on Friday night, they'll be home versus San Jose, and they will be back at the Garden 24 hours later, or 25 hours later at 8 o'clock against the Blackhawks on Saturday. So
I want to make sure I heard you correctly. The headphones sometimes go out.
Mhm.
The Rangers are 14-3.
Mhm.
And people were panicking last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Right. You know what? So they remain hot. I mean, look, is this torrid pace going to continue the whole season? Absolutely not. I mean, we would love it to, but it just doesn't happen like that over an 82-game season. But right now, if I got nothing to complain about, I ain't going to complain.
And like decent teams, right?
Yeah, they've been playing some good teams. So
Stanley Cup, baby.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves there. So let's go around the league. So some big news, and it kind of it included a Ranger associate this week, Marc Bergeron, the general manager in Montreal. Now, Montreal is probably the most historic franchise of all 32 of the NHL franchises.
Mm-hmm.
Marc Bergeron has been there. He's been the general manager there for 10 years. Super animated guy in the sense that, he's always hugging his players. You see him celebrating in the owner's box when the team scores. Was released of his duties over the weekend. He was fired on Sunday. And, there was some talk about, well, hey, how could this happen? Montreal was just in the Stanley Cup final 5 months ago in our 56-game season that we had last year when they lost to Tampa in 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple things here. So, stale life of a general manager is, the shelf life, I should say, is never indefinite. It's never infinite, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it always does end. 10 years is a long run for a general manager in the league. Now, granted, 5 months ago, they were in the Stanley Cup final. They are playing awful hockey right now. Yes, they have some injuries. And look, Carey Price, their all-world goalie, has been out dealing with some mental issues that he wants to get corrected off the ice. But they have been really, really bad. But here's another thing that has not been talked about. And I'm going to guess that this had something to do with it. I don't think this is all of it. Over the summer, in the NHL draft, there was a player who was projected to be in the first round named Logan Malou. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Logan Malau, something like that, from Europe. He is an admitted sex offender. Okay. Now this isn't, and I use the word admitted in there because he's admitting it. It's not he's not accused, and we don't know if he is. No, he's an admitted sex offender, and he came out before the draft and had asked teams do not select him because of this. He said, look, I do not want any team to select me. This off-ice issues needs to be worked out.
Don't you have to register to be in the draft or something?
Yeah, but I think this came out after he registered, if I remember the timeline. So he's available to be drafted and comes out and is an admitted sex offender. What does Marc Bergeron do with the first-round pick?
Selects him.
I don't think that went well. I don't think that went over well. From a PR situation, that's not good.
Yeah. Oh man. How long ago was that?
That was 3 months ago, over the summer.
Yeah, nice.
So, how does this tie into the New York Rangers, you ask? Jeff Gordon, who was fired as general manager of the Rangers back in May, is now taking over the director of hockey operations at Montreal. So, for Jeff Gordon, and I, when he was here, I didn't really have a major problem with him. I mean, there were some things I disagreed with. He now has gone from a general manager role in New York to even a higher role overseeing the general manager, or who he's going to hire in Montreal. So congratulations to Jeff Gordon on a pretty sweet promotion. And he's got his work cut out for him in Montreal.
Where's the player now?
He's not, he never reported to training camp.
So he's still under investigation, or he's in jail?
He's in the system. So he's basically available. If he is ever going to play, Montreal owns his rights because they drafted him.
Gotcha.
Again,
before this, was he any good?
The player?
Yeah.
I would assume so. I mean, he was projected to be a first-round pick. He's got to be decent. I mean, he would be good. Good
enough to roll the dice like that? Wow.
He would have been good enough to play in my beer league hockey last night. That's for sure. We could have used him. So congratulations to Jeff Gordon. So what we're going to do the Friday after Thanksgiving is kind of an unofficial holiday because it is Black Friday, but it is also usually the quarter pole or the first quarter of the season of the NHL being done. So we're going to go around the league real quick, look at some things because there's not too much going on in Ranger land. But we're going to start with the Metro Division, which is what the Rangers play in. And the Metro Division, I had said, and I was wrong so far, I had said when we did our preseason kind of preview show that the Metro Division would probably be one of the worst divisions in hockey. That would work to the Rangers' advantage trying to make the playoffs. Well, as it turns out right now, the Metro Division is the best division in hockey.
Wow.
As you have the Washington Capitals in first place with 33 points, the Hurricanes in second with 31, and the Rangers with 29. So it's a very good division. Again, are all these teams going to continue at this pace the entire season? Probably not. It's highly unlikely. But right now, the Metro Division is where you want to be watching hockey if you want to look for good hockey. The major question on this is Dan Rosen, when he was on with us, and I agreed with him, said, look, the Islanders are probably the best team in the NHL. Where do the Islanders find themselves right now in the Metro Division?
Quarantine?
Well, quarantine.
Not on the ice at all?
Quarantine is right in a sense, but they find themselves quarantined in the basement of the division in last place. So are the Islanders in last? Are they done for the season? Was a question we got. And here's the answer. I think I talked about this a little bit last week, although the Islanders situation seems to continue to get worse. They're probably not. They will get these players back, right? So COVID doesn't last forever, even though it may seem like it does. So they're going to get these players back. They're still coached by Barry Trotz, and there are still teams in this division right now that are playing above their heads that will come back to life. So do I think the Islanders are finishing the season in last place in the Metro Division? Absolutely not. Do I think they're going to come back and make the playoffs? You know what? The Rangers now own the last division right playoff spot with 29 points, if you think about it. And the Islanders are at 12 points. That's a 17-point gap already. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So if the Islanders are going to make a run to try and get in the playoffs and rectify it, it better be soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else. 100%.
I like.
Stop stinking.
I like that you. Well, as a Ranger fan, I'm fine with them stinking, but I don't like the COVID issue at all. I'd rather them be losing with like their products on the ice. I never want to see like a team have to put up scrubs and.
Connor's probably gonna laugh. You'll probably hear him laugh any second now. We played Monopoly a couple of days ago.
I did see this on social media, by the way.
So like when I play, I want to be focused. I want to beat you at your best. I don't want to be like playing a half-assed game of Monopoly. You're not paying attention. You watch TV. Like you be focused and you're in the game. That's how I want to win. I don't want to win off some technicalities. And like the Islanders, man, like literally last year we were talking about how great the NHL was with handling COVID. Like, do you think I
think there have been some lax protocols, and I don't know what those are.
Yeah,
but it has been reported because there have been issues with other teams. Now, the Rangers had a guy yesterday, Greg McKeague, who, granted, is not a major piece of their offensive puzzle, go on COVID protocols. But now you just hope that this doesn't set off a chain where other players get affected. But the Islanders, look, they'll get it together. Whether they can make up a gap now that's 17 points at the end of November, I'm not sure of, but they will eventually play some better hockey. So the Atlantic Division is also kind of been a very, very good division to watch. Toronto, with 33 points, leads the division. They've been here before plenty of times having really good regular seasons, but they cannot win playoff series. So until they actually get in the playoffs and win just one round, which would be a step in the right direction for them, it's hard to kind of take them seriously. They also have a 55-year cup drought. So Toronto seems to have been the last couple of years, and there was a great Amazon Prime documentary on their season last year where they followed them, and you would see this if you watched it, and I do highly recommend it. It's only 6 episodes, I believe, where, this is a team that just is always good in the regular season and just either runs out of steam or the playoff pressure of playing in Toronto, you hold your stick a little too tight or whatever it may be. It was not good in the playoffs. So we'll see how they do. Now, Florida is now 14-4 and off to a great start. However, you got to remember Florida was 10-0 coming into the Garden a month ago, and they had just gone through removing their coach, Hall of Fame coach Joel Quenneville, because of the whole sexual abuse allegations with the Blackhawks from back in 2010. So since then, they've kind of come back to earth and been playing 500 hockey, 4-4. So you do wonder long term now, like, is how much of an effect is that going to have, losing your coach in that manner in the middle of a season when you were undefeated at the point when he lost? So you keep an eye on Florida. You know, the thing with Florida, you got to remember, and we said this last year when we covered their playoff series versus Tampa, is they're so young, right? A lot of these guys are young. So even Sam Reinhart, who they got from Buffalo, another young player. So we'll see here what happens with Florida. And you can never in that division count out Tampa. Tampa is still the back-to-back defending champions. They obviously have the playoff pedigree. They know what it takes to win. They have a great coach in John Cooper there. So that is a division that when you look at the top three teams, Toronto, Florida, and Tampa, those are three very, very exciting teams, and also three teams that can really score. I mean, yeah, when you look at the top lines across those three teams, I mean, that's like looking at you and your lacrosse team, like just looking at stars. You know what I'm saying?
So they're unstoppable. Got it.
They're unstoppable. Yeah. So that's another very, very good division. Heading out west to the West Coast, we'll board a plane for a minute and head out west. So we're going to head up north to the Alberta, Canada, for the Pacific Division. Edmonton and Calgary are neck and neck leading this division. Now, Edmonton is obviously led by Connor McDavid, but they also have Leon Draisaitl, who's having a crazy good year as well. And the acquisition of Zach Hyman that they picked up in the offseason from Toronto has gone better than anyone has expected. Calgary, though, is a little bit different. Edmonton is the type of team that if they have their choice, they're going to beat you 8-6. They're going to score 8 goals on you because they can. Calgary's not really built like that. Now, Calgary ripped the Rangers twice this year. And I believe I saw the other day that Calgary leads the league. They set a record, I think, for the first 20 games with the most playoff shutouts. So that tells you right there, they're playing defensive hockey. They're getting good goaltending, and they have a commitment to team defense. So Edmonton and Calgary, and I would not think you know this, Dougie Sticks. Edmonton and Calgary do not like each other. They both are in Alberta, Canada, and they consider themselves the Battle of Alberta. So it would be kind of exciting if at the end of this, we're left with a playoff series, because it's a series of Edmonton and Calgary, or Edmonton and Calgary kind of going at it head to head through the year, battling for the division title would be awesome. Yeah. It would be very good for the NHL.
Is there a possibility that they play each other in the playoffs?
Super big possibility. And that series would be awesome.
It's like a Subway series here in New York.
It would. Now, it wouldn't get the fanfare here in the U.S. that it would up there, but it would be the equivalent, in some ways, of like Yankee Red Sox, because baseball is such a big sport here, even though you and I don't cover it on the show. Hockey, and now in Alberta, hockey is the thing. Yeah. Although you seem to think lacrosse is, right? We've had this.
So hockey's very popular, but Canada's national sport is lacrosse.
Okay. So in Alberta, where it's like -40, I'm going to guess maybe hockey is a little bit stronger. But for those two to go at it in a playoff series would be awesome. Would be great for the NHL. Anaheim, the Anaheim Ducks, and I always want to call them the Anaheim Mighty Ducks still, because my kids still call it the Mighty Ducks. But Anaheim is a pleasant surprise. I don't know if they're going to continue this. However, you do have to like what you're seeing out in Southern California if you are a fan of the Anaheim Ducks. Last, you cannot count out Vegas at all, who's fourth. Obviously, we know how well they've done. And you got to remember, Dougie Stick's favorite person, Jack Eichel, is coming back to Vegas, seems to be mid-March. So when the playoffs get close, they're going to be peaking, hopefully, if you're a Vegas fan, and you add what you would like to assume is a healthy Jack Eichel to the lineup. So the other thing that I want to cover in the Pacific Division is Vancouver, who is now 6-14 and atrocious. Vancouver, we talked about last year on the show, and we kind of went around the league. I think we may have had Dan Rosen on this episode. We talked about young teams like the Rangers, who were kind of approaching that point of their a point where their Stanley Cup window was going to be open for a few years, right? And if you are the Vancouver Canucks, you were one of those teams, because we talked about it was 3 teams. It was the New York Rangers, it was the Colorado Avalanche, and Vancouver, where we said really all 3 of these teams 3 to 5 years from now were really going to be legit Stanley Cup contenders. And Vancouver now is 6-14. So if you're Vancouver, I'm not sure what you're doing out there, but you got to do something. And they're now showing coverage. And, again, I know you're not up late watching West Coast hockey, but they have fans that literally have paper bags over their heads. They're just embarrassed in the stands.
Wow.
So, yeah, that ain't going well. So, the Central Division, last division we'll talk about before we shift gears here. So, Minnesota leads it right now, but it is a very tight division. Colorado, I think, will still come through and win the division. We've talked about how high we are in Colorado through the years, especially with Nate McKinnon and Cal McCarr out there. And even though Colorado is in fourth, I still think they'll be fine. And you can't count out St. Louis for making a run because, again, a lot of the pieces and the coaching staff as well that was there just a short, 2.5 years ago when they won the Stanley Cup in 2019 are still there. So they are certainly built to possibly make a run deep into the season. But, around the league, there's some really good stories at the quarter pole of the season.
Yes.
And do you have any story? Like, what do you think so far of the season?
I think that we all started the season being a little down and out with New York, New Jersey hockey, and these two teams, the Rangers and the Devils, have exceeded expectations so far for this season.
Well, the Devils, I'll say one thing about them. They have, and why the Devils have exceeded expectations is their best player, Jack Hughes, got hurt in the second game. And B-Rock was saying before, as he sits over here on his phone, that he's back and he may be back next Tuesday. So, for the Devils to tread water without their best player and still be in a competitive situation, I think is good. I mean, I think if you're a Devil fan, you're happy. Now, the thing with the Devils is when you start to play teams on your schedule, and I think they have a bunch of these games in December versus opponents that you would consider winnable, you got to win those games.
Yeah,
you have to win those games.
100%. 100%.
So, that is our NHL recap. So we will see how the Rangers do. They got 3 at home this week.
And that was most of your viewer questions, right?
Yes, we're more around the league. There were not a ton of Ranger questions. The Ranger questions, I don't want to go through it again. And there was an Instagram piece of it from what I said last week that went up yesterday, is what do you do with Gorgiev? And to me, it's just sending him down and bringing up Keith Kincaid. That's what I would do. But
so where I was going with that too, thank you. We are live, so you can send your questions in email, but you can also put questions in the comments section, and we can put them on live for you guys, and we can answer them live with you in real time.
And then we can't use the cheat sheet; we have to answer them on the
fly. On the fly.
Where we look at
how do we really feel?
So I could see there is a question. Devils are going shark hunting tonight. That is right. The Devils are home tonight against the San Jose Sharks, and that is an example of what I said. It is. I mean, it's no disrespect to the Sharks. I think they've actually been playing pretty well, but that's a game where if you're home and you're playing a West Coast team in your arena. That the game time is 4:00 in the afternoon. If you're San Jose, 3 hours back, you got to win the game.
Yeah.
If you're going to be serious, you got to win the game.
Home field advantage, baby.
B-Rock shaking his head over there. He agrees with me. I'm not being too hard on him. All right. So let's see here. I think we have our guest. Let's see. Is he, let's see. We're going to try and bring in Lou. There he is. How are you, Lou?
What's going on?
How are you? So this is Lou Romano. We call him around here a little late night Louie. We give you the nickname around here. Lou is the Chief Executive Officer of Homewell Care Services. They are out of the wonderful city of Hackensack, where I actually have my office as well. And my partner, Dougie Sticks, lives in Hackensack. So it's a good for us. So how you doing, Lou?
I'm doing great. I'm listening to you guys talk about hockey. And I'm not a hockey guy, but I do like to watch it, especially playoff hockey. I will never bet a hockey under again. I'm just telling you right now. This weekend, empty netters, I will never bet a hockey under again after this weekend. That's a fact.
Yeah, and you know what? It's always the empty netter that kills you, right? Like you have it, it'll be like 5.5, right? And it's a 3-2 game, so you've got it, and the team pulls the goalie and it ends 4-2, and you lose on an empty net.
It's exactly what happened. Now it's just I have a buddy, a guy in Rivervale that feeds me some of these sharp picks, and I told him don't send them anymore. I'm done.
No more.
No
more hockey. So over the summer here, we did a feature when the NFL wasn't really in season, and there wasn't a lot with NHL, and that was kind of featuring some businesses in the area. So I figure what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about your business, and then I have some football questions for you because I know you're a football guy. And I have a holiday-themed questions for you about the Jets, actually.
I'm in.
Perfect. So why don't we start here? Tell us a little bit about Homewell Care Services.
Okay, so I started this in 2005, so it's our 17th year of business, helping a majority of senior citizens. It's also we had just signed on a client that is 29 years old, so we do have some younger adults as well. But what we do is help them at home with their activities of daily living. So people that need help with bathing, dressing, um, cooking, medication reminders, errands, other personal care. So we people that just maybe need companionship at home and some light care, and then people that are very sick. So I send certified home health aides into their the home to help them with that. And it's something that, again, we've been doing it for 17 years, and it's a fantastic business, but it's also very fulfilling. I absolutely love it.
So, talk about some of the, if you don't mind, talk about some of the activities that you guys do with your clients.
Yeah, so one of the things that we started a couple of years ago is it's called our LEAP program. So in seniors especially, social isolation is a very big topic, very big issue. So, someone is 80, 90 years old, they're home alone. It's, you're just, they're not that active. So what we're trying to do is when we sign them on as a client, we try to get them involved with activities or hobbies that they used to, things that they used to love when they were younger, when they were more active. So we try to get them out of the house. We try to, even just a simple thing of opening up a window and playing music, something small like that. Games, playing the piano. We have one client that actually, she's 90, in her 90s, and her cat just died. So she does have dementia, and she's very sweet, and she's depressed. So what did we do? Instead of getting her another cat, her family didn't want to get her another cat. We got her a robotic cat. The cat.
There you go.
Yeah, it's cool. The cat, when you pet the cat, it purrs and the whole thing, and it's just really, it's brought her back to being more active and more social. So, and it's a good dynamic between the caregivers and the client as well. So we're seeing great success with that. A lot of people, hospitals and rehab centers are responding to that. And I think that's part of why they're referring us more than ever.
Well, that's always a good sign. Referrals are a sign in any business that you're doing well. So we hear in the news a lot, just a kind of overall business question. We hear a lot about shortage in workers right now and in kind of the work world. Are you seeing a shortage in caregivers?
Well, we were in the industry, absolutely. This year has been the toughest year because, the problem with the senior care industry and caregivers in general, they're underappreciated, they're underpaid, they have no benefits in home care. And what we have done is completely change that. So we're one of the few agencies that we're probably paying the highest out of any agency that I know, because we have to compete with now with, right across the street in Hackensack, there's a Taco Bell paying $15 an hour. So caregiver at Target, Amazon, Walmart, they're all paying $15 an hour. So it's like, why am I going to work so hard and take care of people for $12 an hour? They're just not. And that's what we're seeing. So what we have done is we're paying probably on average $17 an hour, which is still, in my opinion, is underpaid, but we have to stay within market. But I'm giving them benefits, 401k, dental and vision, paid time off, sick leave. So these are all things that escape the industry. And people are always wondering, oh, well, why are the caregivers going? Why can't we get caregivers? And my position is because we don't take care of them enough. We don't pay them enough. We don't give them enough reason to stay in the industry. So I hope to see that, the benefits and the wages increase, because we do need caregivers. There's a huge caregiver shortage. We are not experiencing that right now, but I know a lot of agencies that are turning down cases because of this.
So if you are listening, and I mean, you would be a good boss to work for. I would like to work for you, Lou. We're going to put your website up on the screen, and that's homewellcares.com/New Jersey. You can certainly find out more about them and find out more about Lou's business. I didn't realize you started in 2005. That's a great run. So this is year number 17 going into for you.
Yeah, I'm tired. Look at me, man. I'm tired. This is tough. This is a tough business.
Well, I mean, three kids will also tire you out on the side.
Kids,
not
the
working.
business.
So,
my wife, she's great though. She's so good.
So let me ask you this. So we'll talk about the kids. So let's say then we'll tie in some NFL here. Let's say the kids ask Santa this Christmas. They say, Santa, I want a Zach Wilson jersey. Is that a good or bad investment from Santa?
Well, it happened last year with what's his name? I don't want to talk about him. Sam Darnold.
Yeah, it did happen last year.
So my co-host over here might be the world's biggest Sam Darnold fan.
I mean,
He loves Sam Darnold.
it's not. I think he got. Wrongfully accused. I think that's a good word. He didn't support him. You didn't give him a line, and then you just threw him to the curb. And I bought his jersey, and it means nothing. So,
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're dead on there, Lou.
my son was getting made fun of at school for wearing his jersey. So, I'm not even
So
kidding.
Lou, I will tell you this. From now on, I'm gonna when I buy a jersey, I'm putting my own name on the back, and I'll be good forever. I don't need to worry about.
You're absolutely right. Every jersey, even basketball, I do the same thing. But there's so much turnover. But you're right. The Jets are quarterback killers, 100%. And this poor guy, Zach Wilson, he's done. He's done. He's just
right.
not.
We're 12 games into a season, and you know what? He didn't even play all 12, and we're all like giving up on him.
Yeah.
So if you were one of your 3 kids wanting a Zach Wilson jersey, you would tell Santa that's probably not the best idea.
I would try to, hey, let's get something else. So what's the next option? But I don't think they're going to ask for Zach Wilson this year. He hasn't played enough, and he's not having a good season. So I think, I think I would absolutely this year try to invest that money in another jersey.
Is there any hope? Now we struggle on this show to find hope for Jet fans. Like we try. Doug's a big Jet fan. I like him too. Tell me something positive about their future. If it's not Zach Wilson, is there something?
100% there is. I mean, I'm gonna say it because I'm such a homer. I have a hard time watching the Jets games. I really do. It's because it's painful, and it's been like this way since 1986 for me. So, and I blame my dad. But I think the hope is they got a great coach. He's super positive. It doesn't matter what the team's doing. They have I think I read it the other day, like the most amount of rookie playing time in the NFL, right? So to me, that's a foundation for growth and rebuilding. Everyone has to be patient with it. This is not a next year solution. This is 3 or 4 years from now. So if they can do that, I think that third year of the coach's career with the Jets, I think that is really the measuring stick. Like they gotta become like 8-8 in that third year, or have a winning season, or things are not going well. That's my opinion. I think there's hope. I really do.
Which is exactly what I've been saying. Stop throwing away quarterbacks. Get some linemen.
So
surround them with some tools.
So what we need to do, Late Night Louie, is be smart here and find out where the Super Bowl is in 2026, and book some possible reservations that we could always cancel the day before if it doesn't work, and that way you're all set in the 5-year plan. And I do like the coach. I like Robert Saleh a lot too. I think he's really good. I think he's upbeat, and I think he's good for some of these young guys. So I like it.
Here's the positive for me as a Jets fan, though, and everyone. There's some diehards out there, and I can't say I'm super diehard, but I used to sit with the old owner at the game. My dad worked for Leon Hess, so I used to sit in the owner's suite when Leon Hess owned it and sit next to him, and it was the coolest experience. So the sentiment. I'm really sentimental when it comes to the Jets, but since they stink so bad the last since forever. I've come to love football more, and I said I'm going to look at 2 teams and I'm going to follow them more, and I wanted to pick 2 teams that were bottom of the barrel. So a few years ago I picked the Browns and the Raiders, and I'm just cheering for them. I'm cheering for the Browns and the Raiders more than the Jets because it's they're in it a little bit. So I'm hoping I'm not saying I'm replacing the Jets, but I gave up my season tickets a few years ago. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go to the games.
Well, at least your Thanksgiving was good if you're a Raiders fan this year, right? You got a little victory the other day.
Yeah, that was cool. I love the NFL. I love. There's so many teams I like. I even like the Cowboys. And people are like, how could you like the Cowboys? I don't know. I'm a football fan. I really am. So
all right. So we're 2/3 of the way done with the season. Last question I'm going to ask you. We're 2/3 of the way done with the season, and I know you like the NFL. Right now, who is your favorite to win the Super Bowl in February?
Oh, man. 2 weeks ago, it was the Rams. and then they signed Odell Beckham, and I knew that was done. I put $100. This is why I think I cost the Rams the Super Bowl. I put $100 bet on the Rams to win right before they signed this guy, and I knew as soon as they signed him, it was over. So it was the Rams 2 weeks ago. Now I'm gonna have to say, it's a tough one. My dark horse is going to be the Patriots, and I do think that the Tampa Bay Bucks will win again. I do.
It would be interesting though in that scenario if you had a Brady versus Belichick Super Bowl.
That
would be
that would be cool.
So that is Lou Romano. And again, we're going to put your business website up there one more time. We thank you for joining us. Anytime you want to come on and talk NFL, you want to talk bets, we do. Matter of fact, we're going into our weekly pick segment as soon as you leave in a minute, which, by the way, we've had 9 winning weeks and 3 losing weeks. We were on fire here.
You're doing all weekly picks, or you're doing like pick of the week? I need some picks.
No, we do 5. We pick 5 games with the spread every week. And we've had not. Last week we were 4-1 in the week, but overall we've had 9 winning weeks and 3 losing weeks. So it's coming up in about.
How do you pick your bets on a Tuesday? You gotta wait to the.
It's hard.
It's hard,
and it's even hard. I go on to DraftKings Monday night and I look at it, and so I'll give you a great example. A couple weeks ago, I had Green Bay plus 2.5 versus Kansas City. The next day, Rodgers got diagnosed with corona, so it jumped to plus 8. But I had to be a man of my word. I took him at plus 2.5 on the show. So, yes, it is hard, but it's working. So, but anytime you want to come on, we'll talk some bets, maybe Super Bowl week. You want to come on, let us know what prop bets you like. We're all for it.
I'm into it. Thanks so much for having me. This was my first time ever being on a podcast. I loved it. Thanks a lot.
Well, I joke with Dougie's Sticks over here that the company Undefeated Media should look at. I've told him that I think you would be a phenomenal podcast host down the road.
All natural, my man. You did great.
Yeah,
it's great having you.
I'm in. I love it. I have fun with it. You guys. Have me back.
Late Night Louie. I could see it on iTunes later in the year.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm betting Grand Canyon last night. So
it sounds perfect. Well, thanks, Lou. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks so much.
Talk to you soon. So that is Lou Romano. Awesome guest. We'll make sure we have him back again.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he brought up a good point. If now the Patriots are peaking right now, if we ended up somehow getting a Patriots versus Brady Super Bowl, that would be good. But I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to go off camera because somebody in the studio is a Boston sports fan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is the B-Rock.
Yes.
So B-Rock, if you had a Super Bowl with your team, the Patriots, against the quarterback that brought you all this glory, what are you doing?
He's got enough.
Brady's had enough. So you
could say the same thing. The Patriots have had enough.
Right, but if I had to choose.
All right.
But would you be, let me ask you this. If they played in the Super Bowl, okay, and Brady won, so your team loses, I guess it's not as crushing like as the Giants when they lost, right? Because you could say to yourself, well, Brady won again.
It's really a win-win.
No,
okay, it's true. Right. It's a win-win.
I think it's more crushing because you let him get away and win Super Bowls without you.
Yeah.
You said, we don't need you no more. And he won Super Bowls without you.
Well, we have a long way to go. And actually, one of the games in my weekly picks coming up here is the big Patriot game this coming week, Monday night in Buffalo. So last week, we'll recap week 11. We had another stellar week. I don't know what to tell you here. We had the Lions on Thanksgiving Day, correct. We had them getting 3.5 at home versus the Bears. We had the Giants plus 3.5 versus the Eagles. They won the game outright. We had the Bucks minus 2.5 in Indy, and they won. They covered that. And then last night we had Washington minus 1 against Seattle, and they covered that even though it was close. The one game we had wrong, though, I will say, we were so far off, it was amazing. We had the Steelers plus 4.5 at Cincy, and they lost by like 35 or something, 30. So, but we did finish 4-1, so that is another winning week. That puts our record to 9 winning weeks and 3 losing weeks. I don't know what's in the water. Eventually here, like the heat in the studio, it's bound to run out.
Don't say that. No, it ain't going to run out.
No. We're going to continue. So here we go with the week number 12 picks for the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast. I like the Texans plus 8.5 at home versus the Colts. The Colts are a better team. The Texans, though, if you look, they've been keeping games competitive. They're home in this spot, and they're getting more than a touchdown. Give me the Texans plus 8 at home versus the Colts. Give me the Chargers plus 3 at Cincy. The Chargers need to respond. They played terrible in Denver the other day, and Cincy is plagued by inconsistencies like you wouldn't believe. They can be great one week, and then they can be great in Baltimore and win in Baltimore, and then the next week they go and lose to the Jets. So it's time that the Chargers win a game versus a team that's inconsistent.
I think they're both in the same boat.
They're in the same boat.
Yeah, it's like the mirror team playing.
But the Chargers played terrible last week, and they need to win. And since he may have a letdown game after what was a thrashing of the Steelers the other day, give me the Chargers +3 in Cincy. I am going with the New York Jets. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I like them +7 at home versus Philly. I was not impressed with Philly at all this weekend at the Giants. And I was not impressed by the Jets winning in Houston, but 7 is a lot. And Philly, I'm not sure is that good. I really don't think so. I think they beat up on bad teams. So +7 is a lot. Give me the Jets +7 at home versus Philly. Give me the Seahawks +2.5 at home versus the 49ers. The Seahawks last night were competitive against Washington. Reports coming out of Seattle is that this may be the end of the Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll era out there. So I would expect them to show up. The 49ers are not that good. Let's be real here. And Deebo Samuel is hurt. So give me the Seahawks +2.5 at home versus the 49ers. The last game I struggled to pick, and I will tell you, honestly, with my heart, I hate this pick. I hate it. And that is the Patriots at the Bills on Monday Night Football. I decided to pick this game because it is such a big game with the AFC East on the line. I'm taking the Patriots +3, and I want to be wrong. No, I would like the Bills to win by 2, so the Bills win and the Patriots cover. But I'm taking the Patriots +3. Here's why. The Patriots are on a roll. I don't want to admit it. And for some reason, the Bills, 1 week on, 1 week off. 1 week on, 1 week off. Where were they last week? They were on in New Orleans, and they played terrible at home 2 weeks ago versus Indianapolis. And the Patriots have a bye the next week. This has all the feelings to me of something that's going to annoy me, and the Patriots will win. Yeah. So I'm taking the Patriots +3. So to recap, I'm taking the Texans +8.5 at home versus the Colts, the Chargers +3 at Cincy, the Jets +7 at home versus the Eagles, the Seahawks at home +2.5 versus the 49ers, and the Patriots +3 up in Orchard Park, New York against the Buffalo Bills on Monday night. You like it?
The only one's questionable is the Colts, man.
I look, if I can get you to agree with 4 of my 5, I'll take it. You know?
Everything else that makes sense. The Colts just came off a big game against the Buccaneers. Yeah. They scored a lot of points. The Texans don't impress me at all.
I don't want to pick on B-Rock over here, but Saturday at the event that we had, we're talking about the picks, and B-Rock was all about, like, I don't know why you picked the Giants +3.5 versus Philly. I had that one right. So sometimes the things we disagree with here in the studio end up hitting.
No, that's fine. I'm just, can you name one good player that's going to lead the Texans to a great finish against it? Like, I don't see the Texans don't impress me very much.
Well, you know what? Then we're on opposite ends. We do have to pick the local game of the week. We picked the Jets in the pick. The other one is the Giants are +3 in Miami. I don't know why I like the Giants in that.
Yeah, Miami's been playing very inconsistent.
And the Giants still, I think, maybe have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder now that Jason Garrett's gone. I don't know. I'm taking the Giants in that, but it's not one of our weekly picks. So do we have our friends at Sonnet? Do we want to see if they are here today? I believe.
Yeah, buddy.
We should have told them to wear jackets with our heat situation. And Tom rolls in the polo shirt. Poor guy. He's shivering here today.
Come on in.
So we will get them set up. So we head into, like I said, week 13. And as we always joke here, Dougie Sticks, that there is no season that goes faster than the NFL season.
Absolutely.
The NFL season. So want to give them, do we have headphones for them or do they not need it?
You guys good?
No, they don't need that. We're good.
Yeah.
So this is the Sonnet section of the program. This is Tom Rahelski as always, and I will turn it over to you, Tom.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having us on again and your wonderful insight for the weekly sports. So this week I wanted to bring in my good friend Jason Wilk, who is a mortgage specialist. And we figured since it's the end of the year, I remember, Doug, we did a podcast last year called New Year, New You. We talked about, what are your financial goals for the new year? So I thought Jason come in with some financial tips.
Absolutely.
So turn it over to
Absolutely.
Thank you, Tom. Doug, Jeff, thanks for having me on your show. For a second there, I heard we were talking about sports. I thought I was going to start talking about being a Giants fan here, just hoping they win a few to become relevant. We got to beat the Dolphins. Let's get back into it. But I'm talking about mortgages today, right? Okay, so that's where we're going to go. To introduce myself, my name is Jason Wilk. I am a mortgage representative from Crown Home Mortgage. And the reason Tom asked me the other day to be on the show, because this time of year, obviously we have the holidays coming up, Christmas, New Year's. A lot of people, when they talk to family and they ask what are their New Year's goals, a lot of time it's buying a home, upgrading my home, buying my first home. So in about 5 minutes here, I really wanted to talk to people on what the 3 most important aspects are if you are looking to buy a home, to make sure that becomes a reality for you if that's your goal in 2022. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. First thing every mortgage company is going to look at is going to be your credit score. You got to have an acceptable credit score to buy a home. Namely, what the first step of every mortgage application is we run your credit. We look at the mortgage score through Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now, when people say, well, my Credit Karma is this, or I got a credit score at my credit card, it's that. Is that the score you're going to use? That may be a decent indicator of where your credit score stands. But as I said, every mortgage company is going to run your credit score through Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. They're going to disregard the highest, disregard the lowest, take the score in the middle. Most common question I get asked is, well, my credit's not too good. I had a couple problems with this and that, but my wife's credit score is saying 800. Is that going to help my application? The answer to that is no, because if there are 2 people on an application, every mortgage company is always going to take the weaker of the 2 credit scores. So if your credit score is a 600, your wife's credit score is an 800, the application is going to be a 600 credit score. And in this case, the first conversation is going to be, we're going to have to get your credit up if you're going to want to buy a home.
So super quick, because I feel like this is going to be the first question that people have. So you said Credit Karma says this. So is there an app or a website that you would suggest to find out what your real credit score is?
What I personally do is I'm not marketing any company, but I'm enrolled through freecreditreport.com.
Okay.
I believe they always give you your Experian score, which I believe is the score the mortgage company is going to use. And once a year, I think by law, we can get a free credit report with all 3 bureaus out there. That's usually a pretty accurate way of doing it.
And if you do it more than once in that year, is it going to give you like a point on your credit score or something?
Any time credit is run that is recorded by the credit bureaus, can there be a very small drop in your credit score for running it once? It could be. It'll be very low, meaning a very low drop. The reason people get into problems if you apply for a whole bunch of credit cards, say at the same time, holiday season is coming up. Oh, let me get an Express card so I get a discount at this store. Oh, wow, let me get a TJ Maxx credit card. Let me get this card. Let me get that card. A whole bunch of inquiries, especially for things such as store credit cards in a short period of time, is going to drop your score. Now, if you get your credit checked by a mortgage company, or if you do your 1 free credit report, over the course of the year, I found that has a very, very minimal effect on your credit score.
Yeah. Yes, especially now with the holidays, when you're buying stuff, they're always going to try to get you, do you want to save 10% on your order today?
Yeah.
So do you see, we have some friends in town that are realtors. I'm sure you're busy all year, but do you see a spike in the spring when it's spring market?
Typically speaking, you are correct.
Yeah.
The spring market and the fall markets are the 2 busiest times. But this is an incredibly strong seller's market, meaning there's a very, very high demand for the properties. Now, just an educated guess, right around the holidays, it may slow down a little, but it also may not, just because after everything that happened with the pandemic, people want to get out of the cities. They want to move to the suburbs. There are a lot of buyers out there who have not found their house yet due to the competition. A lot of those buyers are going to keep going right after the holidays, right after the new year.
Are you still seeing the trend where we saw last year, where people trying to get out of the city with COVID, trying to get? I can't tell you how many clients I have that bought houses that were from the city. Is that still going on?
Yeah, Jeff, I don't know if you heard, Cardi B just bought a house in
I
Teaneck,
saw
right?
that.
So
Wow.
she's leaving the city. So I'm sure
She's doing it, everybody's doing it.
I work with a number of realtors, and I'm getting a lot of clients. Oh yeah, they're from the Queens, they're from the Bronx, they're from the city. And every time, one of the first questions I always ask people is, hey, you're looking to buy a house. What is motivating you to do it? For the people in New York, well, hey, you know what happened with the lockdown and everything with COVID. We want to get out so this doesn't happen again.
Right.
So that is very common, and you are correct.
Go. Okay.
So credit's the first
Well,
thing.
one, yeah.
Yeah, one thing. Second thing is, I'm joking, but I'm serious. You need money to buy a house. That shocks people sometimes.
You need money to make money.
You need money to make money. You need money to buy a house. Since I only have 5 minutes, I'm gonna keep this unbelievably simple. Afterwards, I'm gonna have my business card information in the comment section. Anyone's welcome to call me, email me, but keeping it unbelievably generic. You need anywhere from a 0 to a 5% down payment to buy a property. The 0% down payments is for the VA loan, a benefit to the veterans for serving our country. The most common loans outside of that are conventional or FHA. FHA is typically 3.5%. Conventionals typically 5, but sometimes can be 3. So whatever home you're looking to buy, I always tell people think of that you need anywhere from a 3 to 5% down payment. Also have to factor in closing costs, which are the costs of the transaction. That's going to run anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 on top of your down payment. What that is, it's things along the lines of a bank fee, the lawyer that needs to represent you, the title work that needs to be done, deed recording. You also have to set up your escrows, which are property tax and your homeowner's insurance. Now, it changes a little based on the transaction, but people say, just summarize the number for me. I always say it's going to be between $12,000 and $15,000. Next question I get, well, could those costs be built into the loan? The answer is no, it cannot. That must be paid out of pocket before the home purchase is complete. Well, could the seller help me with that, with the seller's concession? The answer is yes, we could. But as I said, we're in a very heavy seller's market. Multiple offers on properties. Properties are going at or above asking. There are bidding wars being done. I'm not saying sellers' concessions aren't happening in some cases, but it's not something you could expect.
Yep. Well, very cool info. And we all, I feel like all through our life at some point are buying houses or moving houses or refinancing. So interesting to hear that stuff. And the credit stuff. Let me ask you a question. One thing you said. So if I were to go with and again, my wife and I don't want to move. We moved 8 years ago and I'm never doing it again. It was awful. But if we were to do it, and let's say one of our, you said you take the lower of the credit scores, right?
The lower middle of the two.
Right. So if I had a good score, she had a bad score, right?
Okay.
We would be, wouldn't be as helpful if it was just me. Can I just apply myself?
As long as your income could carry the loan versus your liabilities, the answer is yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Oh.
That's a very good question. A little bit complex, but that's the third part of what I go into. The third part of qualifying for every mortgage is your debt to income ratio. In English, that means the money you make versus the bills you have. Every mortgage company is going to look at your income, your paycheck, your W-2 salary. If you're retired, Social Security and pension. If you're a business owner, this is important. It is not your annual sales, meaning I see a lot of self-employed people who file a Schedule C on a personal return. Oh, I made $150,000 last year. Yes, you did. But you wrote off the office, the car, the dog, cat, the goldfish. At the bottom of the page, it says your income that you have to pay taxes on is $27,500. Your income for a mortgage is $27,500. So that's very important to keep in mind. As a business owner, it's the income you report and the income you pay the taxes on. A lot of question I get, well, my business took a hit due to COVID in 2020. How's that going to be treated? The most important thing the underwriters look at when they give out a mortgage is the ability to repay. So if the business had a bad year in 2020, for example, those are the numbers they're going to use. So in cases like that, you may have to wait a year or two for the business to recover to put yourself in position to buy. So it's the money coming in, but the other half of it is the money going out. I've had clients that have made an income of $50,000 or $60,000 a year, just them. They were able to buy a modest house. I've had people make $200,000 a year where they didn't qualify to buy a home. Why wouldn't they qualify? They have a car payment, credit card debt, a personal loan, a timeshare, alimony, child support, all these other things that are going against their income. So the most important thing we have to look at for qualification is, what is your future housing payment going to be? How much money are you making? And what are the liabilities against that for you to qualify? So it's pretty hard to explain it all in 5 minutes, and I don't want to go off on these tangents.
No,
So I
there's
sound like
difference,
the wah 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 in Peanuts. But as I said, I will leave my contact information at the bottom of the post.
Cool.
Anyone has any questions, you're welcome to either email me. If you're going to call me, you're welcome to call me. Call me on my cell phone, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Well, thank you guys for coming in. Thank you, Tom, as always. And Dougie Sticks, thank you for another good show here, episode number
Absolutely.
55 on the show. We thank Lou Romano from coming on earlier today, and we'll have 3 Ranger home games this coming week. And you can send your questions anytime. We got to a ton of questions today, so you should know that we do pay attention to you when you ask them. You can send them in to mypbshow@gmail.com. We will take them next week, and we will move on to week number 13 in the NFL, which is scary to think about. but we are quickly approaching playoff time here. So we appreciate you listening to us out there. Have a great rest of your week and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. Go Giants.